category registry, and so on. So, the standard is developed by technical committees. The technical committees have subcommittees with the real experts of the field to design the rules. Under each subcommittee, we find some working groups, each one specialized on a specific subject. So in that way, we have at the end the standard after approximately maybe 2 to 4 years. So you can imagine we have right now 21,000 actual active standards worldwide. So this is how does it work? A little bit complicated, but this is the real situation. And another example for SC4 with the different fields like semantic content analysis, semantic structures, and chunk parsing, part of speech tagging, and the so-called POS tagging, etc. So all the fields are defined by the subcommittees and working groups of each TC or technical committee. Another example of the working groups, because the working groups are the real active expert groups behind each standard. So we have working group number 1 for language coding, and 2 for terminography, and working group 3 lexicography, etc. So you can see at the end also joint working group. This is also the case when different technical committees are working together to produce a new, an updated, or a revised standard. Like in this case for ISO 639. 639 is very famous because I remember this was issued, very old actually, issued in the year 1967 about translation or terminology, language coding. One of the oldest standards in the translation industry. So, and right now, they work on a common, a unified standard, including the language codes. So as you can see, I go back for some slides. So 17100 was released in 2015, 13600 in the year 2014, 18587 in the year 17. What I want to say is that we have right now a revolution concerning international standards, because all of them, the most of them, are released within the last 5 years. So please give me a sign after the 45 minutes to start answering your questions. But now, why are standards so important? What are the benefits of standardization or certification? So first of all, it gives and builds trust, because nobody knows you as a company, nobody outside the country knows you when you or in Egypt, for instance, you have your infrastructure and website, etc. Yes, everybody has now his website, and a very beautiful one. All of them have beautiful websites, but what is behind? So the certification builds trust, saying that the institution, the company is following international rules and requirements to reach customer satisfaction. So next step, it is an evidence of the high quality of the service, of your service, of course. The third point is an official certification differentiates you from your competitors, of course. This is also a very important sign, and it is also a trend of an innovative and forward thinking, because all technical committees are always working on the standard. So it is really up to the knowledge for you and the present. It doesn't cost. It is free of charge. You can, of course, not the certification process itself, because it is costly. The companies know that. Yes, but you can make your research, you can gather the information, you can deploy the requirements and the rules of the different technical committees. So you find all the information in the internet right now. And it is really a present which is free of charge. So, of course, after doing all that homework, you increase your client database and you can open new markets. So, very famous under the standards is the ISO 17100. So now I'm going to tell you some details about the structure of the standard. So every standard starts with an introduction and scope, and then the terms and definitions. The scope defines the field of your business, defines the geographical area you are working in or within. If you have branches in different locations, for instance, etc. And the scope of this standard, for instance, 17100, defines only the translation business. So it is out of the scope, for instance, interpretation services. It is out of this scope, the machine translation aspect. Then we find terms and definitions. Here we have within the standard 5 chapters which cover all terms in the translation cycle, starting with the translation services itself in general, then the workflow, all terms relating to the workflow, and then all terms relating to the language and content. And number 4, concerning people involved in translation services, about their qualifications, about their background, their further education, etc. And finally, concepts related to control of the translation services process. How to control your workflow, how to control the different cycle steps, or the steps within the cycle. So, why it is important to unify the understanding behind each term. So I guess everybody knows the answer. It's very important that we understand the meaning behind each term, whether we are in Egypt or in the USA or where else. So it's very important to understand the definition in the right way and in the unified way. For instance, here, what's the text? So when I ask you what's the text, so we can get maybe 20, 30, 40 answers, different answers, right? So there are people, there are experts. This is a simple example, of course. There are people who are working on that, on the complex terms, of course, not like this. But text is the content in written form. Simply, to simplify the aspects, of course, is also the meaning, the sense behind the standard, so that everybody can understand and it goes to the point, and everybody can understand the same behind the term. So we have also definition within the standard, what is the difference between language service provider and translation service provider. So actually, language service provider is wider and covers more aspects in the industry, in the services, providing all aspects relating to the translation service. But translation service provider may offer only the translation product as a translation.